Flash Magnus, Swirl the Bearded, true friend by switched down. Shortly some time after that they had defeated the Pony's Shadows, Starsword and the other pillars, they didn't know what to do now. Starsword had no much idea himself, because now his former students, Celestia and Luna, are actually the rulers of Equestria, and since he is still one of those greatest wizards in all time, but since most of the other friends they have no homes anymore, except from Mage Meadowbrook and of course Miss May. Most of the other friends they didn't have any particular home anymore, and they had no idea what to do, because they have arrived in a new era, one millennia after they have been in a limbo. Starsword, he had no much to think about. But the others, Mage Meadowbrook actually returned back home to find their home still there and opened the clinic once again, helping the ponies and other animals. Even though that Mage Meadowbrook had found her home, Rocco found his home was gone, just in ruins. But after time, he actually get just adapted to the new modern world. Flash, he had not much of trouble to find a new replacement for his work, because before then he was in a part of the Royal Legion, but that was no longer exist. It has been reorganized to the Wonderbolts, but he was actually accepted and as the new drill sergeant and captain of the Royal Guard in Canada. Miss Main had a new work in Crystal Empire where she lived now. But Stas, he had no idea what to do. Even he was still one of the greatest wizards of all time. He had no idea what to do. After he found out, saw that his old friends had got a new place in a new world had been occupied, except for him. The only time he do now is spending a lot of time in the by doing some research in the Candelot Library. Of course, his friends often thought, why he studies so much? You have a whole new world to explore. Flash, he tried to convince Starswirl to at least go out in the world, to embrace it, to see the new things that happen. See the new technologies, see the new inventions, all the kinds of old things that has happened for the past 1,000 years. But Starswirl said, not really interested. All he wanted to do was to research, study, study, and study. At first, when his friends, they tried to convince him, but one by one, they gave up. Only Flash was the only one of them who actually tried to convince Starswirl to leave Canterlot and go somewhere else. Do probably some traveling, and then at the same time you can do your studies by studying some other new ponies, hounds, and everything else. Of course, Starswirl had no much interest in that. Flash tried to convince Luna and Celestia by telling the former teacher how to at least go out in the world to do that. But when they told him, he understood that Flash had been talking to them, and he walked up to Flash after his duty was over. He schooled out Flash Magnus by going to princesses and tried to get him to leave Candelot to go out in the world. He was angry to make them go behind his back. That is not what true friends do. But Flash tried to tell him, you should go out in the world to embrace the new possibilities that you can be learning. Since the information in the libraries are perhaps only a few years older, or perhaps less than for the past 100 years or so, and that if you go out in the world by yourself traveling, you will still be embracing the newest news about inventions, magic spells that hasn't been put in the books yet. Of course, Starsworld had no one interested in that. So Starsworld, he told Flash not to bring this topic up again, and he stayed in his room and his new home in Canterlot. Of course, at the time, Flash gave up hope of even trying to convince his old friend and started focus mostly on his life. After a couple of months, everything seems to be going well normally, except the times that Starsworld and Flash didn't have spoken to each other for the past few months. And of course, most of the other friends and Twilight thought, why are they not talking? Flash explained what is why, and she tried to ask Starsworld, but he said the same thing, and she tried to keep them, put them in the same room and try to work it out. But it only led to more arguments, and they decided not to talk anymore. Flash remained in Canterlot, but Starsworld, he sold his home and just left. And he didn't say where he's going, because he would only probably get found by Flash and telling him, just do it. And after time, Flash didn't say much about any of this. But then, during the first winter after being coming back from Limbo, Flash gets the news that Starsworld is missing. First, he believes that he is out there somewhere in a city, living by himself, studying. So he is sending out messages to almost all possible cities and towns and villages, but so far, nothing. And he even asked some of his old friends if they have seen Starsworld, but they haven't seen him in months. And Flash now was getting a little bit worried, since he was feeling regretful to have had this argument with his old friend. So he decided to take some relief time from his duty as a guard, and try to find Starsworld somewhere. Of course, the winter was going to be one of the coldest at least for the past 20 years. And Flash, he was actually experienced in cold weathers in the past, so this was not much as trouble for him. But he tried to find Starsworld everywhere. Every town he went to that have seen or heard of him, from even seen him. And every village, farms he found, he come across of, none has seen Starsworld. But then he was so close to give up hope to find Starsworld, until he noticed a cave, a small cave in a forest not so far from Manhattan's northwest. There was actually a campsite. He flew right there and discovered it used to be some sort of camp, but the fire, or at least the glow from the fire, was still there, and he was looking for any sign of any homeless that had been there recently, but there were just fresh footprints, hookprints in the cave, and some food left around. He even heard some coughing from inside the cave, and looked around, and who did he see? None other than Starsworld. Starsworld lying there in his makeshift bed, very, very ill. It turns out Starsworld had gotten much sick lately, and for the past few days he tried to keep him warm, but since this illness had getting much worse from him, he hasn't that much strength for even eating any. Hasn't He hasn't been eating or drinking anything for the past 2 days. He was so tired. He was so dehydration. And when he saw Flash, he thought that he was just hallucinating, has just some illusions that it was actually him, and thought just some illusions and then speak them, and he lost consciousness. Flash could not just go and leave him by himself. If he did, it would have meant the end of Swirl the Bearded. So we carried him all the way to the closest town, was only about an hour away, and it was just in time when he brought him there. The doctors told him that Swirl had been suffering from a case of severe flu. If he had been found much sooner, it was very likely he would have survived the night. But his condition was still critical but stable for now. Swirl had been unconscious ever since he came to hospital. Flash immediately leaves a message to all his friends, even the royal sisters, informing them about Swirl's condition. But he told them not to come. He would stay there at his side. It would be better they all remain where they are, but he would inform them what was going to happen. The doctor has told them that Swirl's condition was critical but stable. But during the night, his condition got even worse. He actually had his heart stopped twice. Flash was very scared now to even to lose one of his oldest friends, and he was about to prepare to get a message to his friends to get there as soon as possible, but he didn't. Because he realized even if even if managed him to get there in time, Flash probably have been alone with Starworld, and he probably have been passed away when the rest of the pillars had been arrived at the time. So he didn't tell them about it. Flash stayed there and was told by the doctor that Starworld's heart was beating again, but it was still faint and he might not survive the night. If he had any friends or family left, they needed to be contacted as soon as possible. But since Starworld didn't have any family members alive anymore, or any descendants, he decided to immediately contact his friends. Early the next morning, Rockoff, Miss May, Zenebula, Mage Medenbrook arrived to the hospital. They were all devastated. They couldn't even believe their oldest friend was laying there on the bed, close to die. Flash couldn't hold the tears back and was crying and crying. He begged Starworld to come back, not to die. He was apologizing for him, and he wished that this fight they had with each other, that he regrets to having it. He couldn't stand to seeing his old friend laying there, even the risk of death. The other pillars, they went in the waiting room all night afterwards, because during the day, Starworld's condition was getting slower and worse for every hour. But during the night, Starworld actually regained consciousness after for several days. But still, he was still weak, and he was only conscious for only a few minutes before losing consciousness again. But the next day, he had actually regained more power, more strength, and soon, after a couple of days, it seems that Starworld had made it. It seems the flu had left and he survived, but the doctor had made him to stay behind in the hospital at least for a couple of more days just in case. After a few days more, declared to leave the hospital, and he went back to Canterlot. On the way there, Flash tried to convince Flash that Starshworld about this, that it was his fault. If he hasn't even had this argument, he would have been there, and Starshworld said he understood. And he understands that this, and he agrees this fight was just stupid. But he agrees to that he will go out in the world next year around early spring when it was warmer again, but this time will have some company. And he had actually asked Twilight or Flash to accompany him. Flash didn't mind that. But most of it, Flash and Starshworld had actually repaired their true friendship. Because this argument could have ended up leading to Starshworld's end. If that had happened, Flash would never have forgiven himself and probably had quit to be a royal guard and perhaps live somewhere else in the wilderness, insulated from anybody else. And that's how Flash, Magnus, Swirl the Bearded repaired the friendship and would remain as good friends even after what has happened. The end.